Well, this certainly looks, different. Very different. Very bluish. Before you could just think, hey, these are some ancient ruins, but now things look a bit more odd, a bit more mysterious. At first it seemed like the ruins might have been a place to worship Ogre, given the architecture and, well, the giant door with his face on it, but now I'm not so sure. I'd say it looks a little bit futuristic, even. So as this place is beginning to look less and less like a simple shrine, we should also wonder, what exactly are the enemies doing? They're apparently being controlled by the ruins itself, but for what purpose exactly? Obviously they want us dead. Maybe they're here to protect that power that the G Corporation came down looking for. And if that's the case, could there be something else down here besides just Ogre? It's very possible that we're messing with something that we really shouldn't be. Somehow, though, I don't think Jen cares very much. Now, admittedly, he can be very hard to read, but I'm not getting any regretful vibes right now. And if he is being hesitant, then, well, it's not really showing in his fists. I'm sure that some part of him wonders what he's getting into, but I'm also sure that no part of him wants to turn back. He's just not that kind of person. This stage is actually pretty generous with its health pickups in comparison to previous ones. It's also debatably the most platform heavy of all the stages. I told you there were going to be a lot more holes. The last stage did introduce bottomless pits as a hazard, but in this one they're a lot more abundant. However, that abundancy does come with many more chances to throw enemies off of cliffs, which is a ton of fun. It may seem like a simple addition, but it changes up the environment a lot, both aesthetically and gameplay-wise. It also brings a little bit more depth to the combat, because of course you can knock enemies off the edge, but you need to figure out which moves are the best for that. You're going to find out pretty quickly that usually kicks or throws work the best because they have the most knockback, but still it's something you need to keep aware of. Ideally, the player would already know which moves to use because they've been using those same moves to knock enemies into the walls. In fact, throwing enemies into obstacles and walls was actually advertised on the back of the case. Here's a variation on the platform pendulum, which needs to be struck with a power attack to get it moving. I couldn't say that any one piece of the game design is more important than the others, but throwing enemies around certainly does make your life easier, especially in this stage. Yes, that feels good. The ruins are also starting to get a lot more labyrinthine in addition to being more vertically complex. I mean, it never becomes Metroid, but it's very clear an effort was made to make things a bit more geographically interesting. There's actually almost as much platforming in this stage as there is punching, and that's really saying something. The platforming is still used in conjunction with puzzle solving too, which we'll see here in just a minute, after I deal with these guys. I'm glad that although they have no mechanical use anymore, they kept in hit sparks for stylish purposes. It's part of what helps make the combat in this game feel so good. The enemies are still getting more aggressive too, by the way. The same strategy still applies, it's just a lot harder to get out of things in one piece. And now that that's done with, it's time for some really quick timing-based platforming. If we hit the orb in the wrong position, the door will reappear long before we can reach it. We actually have to hit the orb right as the platform is moving away from us. There we go. It's pretty simple, but, you know, it's clever. It's clever enough. Now what have we got in here? Things just got a little bit more complicated. And we now have our opportunity to get a high combo, because we have a wide area and we can use this really long combo since the enemies are spread apart. It looks like this gate we're next to in the center here is closed off for now. It's also red on the map, which means it's probably our destination. And it did look like there was more than one way to go, but let's just go the most obvious direction first. Hopefully there isn't actually a wrong direction to go in. But even if we are going the wrong way, one of these paths has to lead to Ogre. Hopefully. But hey, I get to punch more stuff, so I'm not complaining. Remember when I mentioned Jin's maneuverability in the air? Yeah, that's really important. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that these pits actually add a whole new dynamic to enemy attacks as well. Previously, when you received knockback, it didn't really mean anything because, well, you didn't take damage from running into walls. But now that there are pits, it's a whole different story. Larger enemies in particular can send you absolutely flying if you're not careful. Though falling down a pit doesn't instantly kill you, it does take quite a big chunk off your health. This means that camping out near the pits isn't always a very good idea. I just really hope this isn't some ancient tomb, because we don't want cursed. We don't want that. We are already cursed. We do not want double cursed. I suppose you could make an argument that nothing magical has happened yet, but we are chasing an ancient winged beast through ruins. So we may need to admit that something supernatural is going on. Alright, no. The hardest thing about controlling Jin in Devil Mode is staying far away from the enemies, because they move rather fast, and Jin's kind of defenseless while he's using his lasers. If this path were a dead end, we would have found out by now, right? I mean, we have to be going somewhere. Maybe this place has a library or something so we can figure out exactly why it was built, though there's no guarantee that Jin would actually stop to read anything. I'm just saying if they maybe had a copy of, like, the Tekken 5 strategy guide, that would be helpful. Asking our enemies for directions is out of the question because apparently they're being controlled directly by the ruins. Maybe we can ask the ruins for directions. Though I think it's a pretty safe bet that whoever built the ruins does not want us here. Come to think of it, Jin's been pretty much completely alone his entire journey. I mean, it's not like you could talk to the Jacks or anything. Maybe it's better this way, though. I mean, the alternative is that we get someone we care about mixed up in this, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think Jin's already experienced enough tragedy. So here's a very rare block puzzle without jumping. I'm pretty sure it's the last we'll actually see in the entire game. It was actually necessary to demolish those pillars. This one's pretty simple as long as you make the assumption that blocks can be stopped by other blocks. These puzzles are probably the simplest thing about the game, but they're still pretty well designed, I think. We're not exactly done with them yet, either. This wall deceptively opens up into a huge pit, and we obviously don't want to jump down there. There has to be something around here to tell us we're going the right way. Oh hey. Maybe this opens the gate a while back. Well, it summoned a ton of enemies, so that's a good sign. As you could imagine, it's very, very easy to get knocked off the ledge here. You're just gonna bounce right off that guy's head. So this definitely must have been the right way to go. I mean, why else would that thing have been there? Whatever it was. Yeah, I'm kind of getting my butt kicked, but I'm not ashamed of it. This is actually pretty hard. It's very hard to separate enemies right here because you don't have a lot of space and you could just wind up jumping right off the ledge. I think that's the last of them. Hey, this place seems a little familiar. Can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, we're back here. But that red on the map tells me that the gate still isn't unlocked. So, maybe we didn't go the wrong direction, but maybe we have to go somewhere else as well. I'm sure these platforms will lead to somewhere new, at least. Yeah, Jin can jump surprisingly high and far. If you think he's jumping far right now, well, you'll see. It looks like we at least found somewhere else to go, and that's much better than a dead end. Pardon me, I see a box over here. There we go. I doubt that any of G Corporation's robots could have made it this far down. Here in this room, we have the most complex puzzle yet. We're gonna need this for it, but first, I'm sure you saw this coming. The formation these guys appear in can actually be super dangerous because a lot of agile enemies appear all around you. I've actually lost more than one life here previously. And you can see that even though we just got done pushing them into a corner, they've already surrounded me again. So yeah, this fight can be deceptively difficult, especially when more enemies keep spawning in on your back. Properly angling your camera is actually one of the most important things about large fights, and I kind of forgot that for a second, but it's alright, we fixed it. And that's the last of them, so now on to some puzzle solving. We need to hit 2 orbs to open a door, but we also need to hit both orbs in a timely fashion so the door doesn't close again. The solution is this platform. And that big wall in the center is the problem. Ta-da! I'm feeling pretty good about that. Good enough to take on a hallway full of enemies, no problem. I mean, our health's getting a little low, but it's not like we're in immediate danger right now. Or I suppose we're almost always in immediate danger, but not immediate enough for me to worry. I mean, come on, Jin's totally got this. Pretty sure. Okay, so maybe we're in a little bit of trouble. But like I said, they do provide quite a bit of health this time around. Oh. Yep, I think I see something up there. Alright, so it's probably safe to assume that the gate just needed 2 of those to open. Or rather, it needed 2 of them destroyed. That's almost the same thing. It looks to be in a rather precarious position, and of course enemies spawn as soon as we reach the platform. We do need to be very careful up here as well. That doesn't mean we still can't have fun, of course, because there are a lot of obstacles and a pit and a wall for us to play with. That really never gets old. That could have been the death of us if I didn't block in time. Man, they've really started pouring on the enemies. And down he went. After we destroy this one, maybe that gate in the big room will finally open. If not, hopefully it's at least opened up another path. Though that fight was significantly less hard. Oh, here we go. This fight can also be rather difficult without the devil, because you really have nowhere to go but off the edge. You could always trap yourself in a corner, but that's not very good either. The game is really good at using simplistic environments to its advantage. Game design-wise, I mean. That loading screen was a bit longer than usual, but we're back here. Thought I was gonna jump off, didn't you? But no, we really need that. And now we're back at the very start of the second pathway, and I get turned around here for a second, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's just skip to when I was turned right side up. Now, according to our map, the door is a... Wow, that looks rather ominous. Okay, something tells me this isn't Ogre, but whatever it is, it doesn't seem happy with us. Oh, and there are more enemies. So things have really gone to hell right now. We have no idea what this is. It could be that power that G Corporation was searching for, but we really have no idea. We also have no idea how to hurt it. There seem to be things floating up on the platforms over there, but we have no idea how to reach them, and they seem to have some kind of force field. We really can't do anything with these enemies on our back, so we should deal with them first. Now, the only other thing in here is that glowing ball of energy. So let's do our best to avoid it and see where it goes. Right now seems like a good time to follow it. Alright, it lowered the force field and now we can pound this thing. Which took surprisingly few hits. Alright, I think it's pretty clear there's a pattern going on here. Luckily, we're pretty much surrounded by a giant pit, so taking care of enemies isn't too difficult. Design-wise, this is probably the best boss that the stage could have hoped for, because it's a platforming boss, more or less. It throws everything at you that you've experienced so far, and just a little bit more. We're not even going to give these big guys a chance to knock us off. Now where's that energy ball? Oh, there it is. We know where you're going this time. And now that's 2 down. We only have 2 more to worry about, but one of them's a different color. I'm almost positive that means something. There's a lot more big enemies this time, so I should really be careful. Whatever it is we're destroying, I just hope it's a good thing that we're destroying it. I mean, yeah, it is trying to kill us, but we have no idea what function this thing serves. Whoa. They got me pretty good that time. But we've still got plenty of fight left in us. Now for that orb. After a quick health pickup, of course. Well, hey, you know, stuff happens. Plus, we've still got plenty of time. Alright, now we just have to worry about that red one. And as you've probably guessed, it doesn't quite work the same as the others. All it does is shoot energy balls at us, but it can shoot more than one, which makes it rather hazardous, even more so than the enemies were. It still follows roughly the same pattern, though. Uh-oh. Its force field doesn't stay open for very long, but it does open much more frequently than the others. I'm very grateful for that noise that telegraphs it opening. This one can also take quite a beating. It is possible to get it all in one try, but it's very difficult. Its shield goes up again as soon as it releases new energy balls, which doesn't take very long at all. But unless something completely horrible happens, we've definitely got this. And it's finished.